What is up, everyone? Today I'm going to be ranking all of the weapons inside of MEGABONK so that way you can stop having runs that end up like this, and instead you can have runs where you're going around and the enemies aren't going to even be able to touch you because you're going to be so powerful and you're going to be aiming for those high record runs. Let's get into the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Okay, up first then we've got Flamewalker. This is a trailing area of effect weapon, and I tell you now, a lot of people overlook this weapon. They think it's not that great, but trust me, if you partner it with other weapons in here, such as, you got the Aura and the Frostwalker, you increase your area of it and then the damage. It is absolutely fantastic for crowd control and super useful for that final fight. The regular sword is okay. I'm inclined to put it in B or C, but I'm actually going to put it in D just because I think there's so many better weapons out there than sword that I think it's kind of like unjust. I mean, you could take it, but I just wouldn't. There's no need to take the sword. Just leave it behind. Take another weapon. There's so many more weapons. Up next is the lightning staff. Now this weapon is so underlooked. People will probably put it in B and A, something like that. Like, it's good and things like that. Trust me, again, you scale this with the right weapons. You've got projectile bounces on it, projectile count. It just makes this weapon absolutely fantastic. It's really fast attacking as well and stuff like that. So 100% you've got to get the lightning staff up into the S tier. Up next, we've got the fire staff, the second staff in the game. Now, again, a lot of people think actually this one's pretty good. I used to think this was better than lightning staff, but because its projectiles are quite slow, it's a little bit worse, and it only does crowd control if they're like right next to each other. They don't really bounce around. So I'm tempted to put it in B tier. I could be persuaded to put it in A tier, but I actually just don't think it's that great. It's good as a starting weapon and in the early game, but towards late game it kind of becomes kind of useless because the projectiles move too slow and you don't want to waste a tome on projectile speed. So we're going to leave MB tier for now. Up next we got chunkers. Now chunkers could be no, you know what, in fact it is a D tier. It is really slow, don't get me wrong, they can do heavy damage, but it's slow attack speed, so you've got to counter that. And there are just better weapons, I think, in my eyes that pair with others, such as like the axes and things like that. They're just a lot better than chunkers in my eyes. So chunkers is going to go in D. Don't bother picking it up for any of your runs unless you're trying to do a specific challenge. Now, bone is very similar to fire staff for me. The projectiles are just kind of too slow. However, because it does have the bounce effect on it, I will put it just above fire staff, but they're two kind of the same weapons. I wouldn't really be inclined to take either over the lightning staff, unless obviously you've built in loads of attack speed and things like that in your runs. But there are better weapons out there, but they're good, especially at the start of your runs. They can do some nice damage and minor crowd control, should we say. Up next then we've got the bow. Now the bow is such a important weapon in the game. It's an A tier weapon for me. It can be less effective if not used well, but if you put it with the right tomes and things like that, you can combine it with other weapons and just it will be able to do reliable, consistent damage. Not perfect, it's not in the S tier. I wouldn't be picking it every single run, but if it's out of that or like the bone and the fire staff, you want to pick bow up. And same kind of said for the pistol. Now the pistol is basically just an improved version of bone. It has faster fire rate. It also shoots more projectiles in one go, can bounce bullets. It's just a better version of bone. You want to pick these two up over these two any day of the week. Now, Aegis depends on the style of run you're going for, but if we're talking about outright weapons that you want to have on your run, I'm actually going to put Aegis down into D tier. It could potentially go in C tier, but I'm going to put it in D tier. I just don't see the point of using this on a run if you're going for like maximum kills, because you're never going to be able to do a load of damage with it because you're relying on getting hit. And obviously if you're getting hit late on in a massive run, you're going to take so much damage anyway. It's going to kind of be pointless. It can be okay, but you'd rather have the damage output than relying on getting hit. It's too risky of a it's too risky of a strategy. But if you're going for like the AFK challenge, it could be up in S. But we're talking about going for kills and things like that. Aegis, not great, but okay. Up next is the banana. Now, banana is slightly better than these two. It's unique to the other weapons, which is quite nice. It returns after throwing. It's got good range and nice, decent damage. If you're looking for more like fun weapons to use, it's perhaps an A. But actually, I wouldn't say it's much better than these two. I mean, it can do some nice damage, but I'd rather have a bow and the gun, the pistol for me, over either of those two. Up next, then we have Aura, and to be honest, Aura, it just for me is number one. You want Aura in the game as much as possible, as long as you size it up correctly with damage, size, and things like that. It will just be an unrelenting damage. You just be able to walk around and things just get killed, and then also it's extra protection in those final, that final wave on tier 3. Things can't get close to you, and if they do, they're going to get absolutely obliterated when you partner it with the right weapons. Up next, we've got Axe. Now, Axe is going into A for me. It is below these two still because, again, it's close quarter damage. But obviously, if you use it, depending on what style of run you're going for, it can be really useful. But I'd rather have it over these three still. Projectile count. If you get duration, obviously, it's not the most amazing thing, but that really helps this. So, Axe is a really strong weapon. I'm going to put it in A. I know people might not necessarily agree with every decision I'm making here, but I'm going off my experience and going for like nice runs. And don't worry, we are going to put some stuff in the C tier in a second. Up next, we've got Space Noodle. Other than the fact that this can be like, it's a bit gimmicky. It's got the name Space Noodle and things like that. It's pants. Alright, sure, go above Chunkers. I don't really mind. They're both pretty rubbish. I'm going to shove them down there. Don't bother picking this weapon up. Unless you're going to try it out for the first time ever, but don't pick it up on a high run. It's completely pointless. So just leave that one behind. Moving on then, we're going to go Sniper. Sniper I'm going to put into A tier. I just think that it's such a strong weapon. Okay, maybe top of B. It's like end of A, top of B. The weapon is really strong. It does have slow fire rate, sorry. So depending on what your style is and what tones you take in, maybe you don't want Sniper over other things. I actually would rather have the pistol and the bow. I would be like, it would tempt me between the fire staff and the snipers. Actually, yeah, maybe B's more accurate. It's very similar. It does high damage. If you've got good crit chance and stuff like that, it can be useful, but realistically, you maybe want to take other stuff over it. So actually, maybe it's top of B. It's still better than the other ones, but B tier for me still. Now, the rockets hold a special place in my heart. I just think they're a great weapon. I think they're really fun to use around the map. I'm going to put them in C tier. I mean, the first weapons go in there. They aren't necessarily the best weapons in the game, I guess, but it's got aero damage, explosive rockets, but it's slow projectile speed. It is slightly worse than these, so it'll go into C tier for me. Up next is the shotgun. Now, the shotgun is a spread shot. It's close range. It can be devastating, but it is limited by short effective range. So I'm going to put it in C because it's slightly better than these, I think, but it could be here, it could be here. I mean, it's a bit like Aegis. It has its uses, but it's not great. I'm just going to whack it in C tier. Basically, I wouldn't worry about picking up anything in C or D tier. It's basically just distinguishing like dog poo compared to cat poo. Yeah, you kind of don't want to pick either of them, to be honest. And speaking of dog poo and cat poo, here's the mines. Actually, you know what? Mines can go D tier. I was going to try and be nice for him. They're good if you get a defensive choke point at the end, but yeah, apart from that, it's kind of useless. I know people do like them, but for me, I'm not picking them up. They can just stay. They can just stay in the bin for me, with the rest of the garbage. Up next, then we've got the wireless dagger. So you throw a dagger, it homes on enemies and does kind of passive damage. Again, you don't have to aim with it. It just kind of like works on its own. Now, to be honest, it's an okay weapon. I'm just going to whack it in C tier. It's not great. Just leave it be. Let's move on. It's kind of like one of those ones, a bit like the shotgun. You're not going to pick it up. Let's just move on from that one and get into dice. Now, dice for me is a really nice weapon. It obviously permanently increases crit chance the more you hit enemies with a 6, which basically means it's infinite scaling. Now, people might think, oh, wow, that must make it an S tier. I think it's an A tier. It's not perfect because it starts off with really weak damage, but obviously with the critical hit chance, if you do scale it up right, it can be like as good as these two. I like to pick these kind of ones up together. Obviously with the pistol, if you're using Clank, he gets the crit chance as well. So really nice scaling there if you do kind of combine it with the right stuff. And obviously being a projectile is a little bit slow, but it's still better than Axe for me. So I'm going to go with that. Up next, Dragon's Breath. Not much to be said about this one. Let's just throw it at the bottom. I don't really mind. It's a short range flamethrower attack. It's high attack, but limited range. It's just really kind of like useless to be honest. I'm just going to throw it down there. I'm not too bothered about it. We'll just move on. If you want to use it, go ahead and use it, but I wouldn't waste my time on it. Now this one's interesting. Katana. Katana's really exciting. I really like using it. It was really useful in my AFK challenge I did, and it's really high speed and does excellent damage. So I'm gonna put it in S tier. You do have to like work it correctly. Like if you put the wrong tomes on this, it's not gonna work. Like size is not what you want on this. So obviously just be careful with it. But it is an absolutely unreal weapon and is really good in like multiple situations. So go ahead and try it out. Make sure you're using that. Up next then we have the Poison Flask. Now this one again, we're just going to shove it down there with Dragon's Breath. Kind of useless. You can get poison easy. I mean, it does do damage over time, but it requires enemies to be in the area. So kind of pointless, not great. Just leave that one behind with Dragon's Breath. Neither of those two you ever want to pick up. Next then is the Black Hole. Now this creates a black hole that pulls enemies in and damages them. It's a really interesting mechanic. Some people might say it's like super overpowered and things like that. I'm going to put it top of A because it can kind of like cause problems in your runs where it's like pulling enemies in the wrong direction or something like that. Like it might catch you out. So just be aware. But it's such a super strong like build if you do it correctly. So I'm going to put it top of A, but I'm not going to quite put it into the S tier. I'm just going to leave it in the top of A. Next is the Blood Magic. So it says each kill has 5% chance to permanently increase max HP, which is obviously nice. Combines offensive with survivability. So obviously like it does damage and also has a chance to increase your health permanently. I like it, but you know we're trying to do damage here and survive, so it's just going to be above the sniper for me because of the health. But realistically, it's not up here. It's not like fighting these lot. It's just kind of like made its way in because of the health advantage, and that's kind of about it, to be honest. Up next, Executioner. This can go in S tier. We'll just shove it on the end. I've not really organised this too much. Some of the rows I have, but some not so much. It's great high damage. It's the meta weapon, really. You do need to grind the unlock for the weapon, but if you get it and you start using it and combine it with the right stuff, it is just a fantastic weapon. It has really high like output on the damage and things like that. So when you're on like high runs, it's really useful. Next is the Tornado. I'm just going to put a bottom of C tier. It's got like a unique ability which is quite nice. Obviously creating a tornado that pulls the enemies in and damages them. It is super situational and it's a little bit fun, so I'm putting it in C. Actually, I'm going to put Aegis in the top of C now. But I'm gonna put Tornado in C just because it's a little bit different. It's a little bit fun. At least like there you've got an option to do something. You're not like forced into like doing the same thing every time. Now Frostwalk is an interesting one. It's obviously super powerful when you're doing the runs with Noelle. So I guess it just kind of has to go to S tier because Noelle is the OP character. If it wasn't for Noelle, like if you're picking this up elsewhere, maybe in A, when you combine it with like other weapons. So, but now it's in S because obviously using it with Noelle and combining it there, it's just super powerful now. So you have to bear that one in mind. It's a little bit, here or there. So bear that one in mind. It's not really an S tier, but it also is an S tier. So yeah, it's S tier basically. Next, then we've got the Hero Sword. This is high damage, but it's a little bit too slow to use. It's kind of like this era of like weapon. It's not quite completely useless, but it is just too slow. So I'll put it in C. Again, these are the weapons you don't want to pick up at all really in any of your runs. It's the C and D, which brings us on to the last weapon, which is obviously the Corrupt Sword. Now this has high damage again, but it's slow on the attack. It's the hardest weapon to unlock. The way you have to do it by getting Cursed Home to level 20 in under 10 minutes. That's quite difficult. If you do unlock it, you can have some fun with it because of the high damage, but it's kind of useless. We'll leave it in C tier, and that's how my tier's looking. So an array of weapons all over the pitch. Now you've got to remember it completely determines what type of build you're going for. If you're going for quantity tomes and things like that, you don't want to be using this. But with Noelle, the Frostwalker, the Flame Walker, and the Aura, you want to kind of combine those all together. Really, really nice. So depending on what your run is, depending on how you might rank these weapons, and you might disagree with some of my thoughts here, but that's what I'm going with. That's my tier. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any other suggestions to my tier list. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.